So good morning, everyone. My name is Rekha, and today I'm going to show you backup and restore uh, on using a software file storage as my cluster storage system. So here I have a 3-node MPP already set up and deployed with Blue Helix 7 as my head node and 8 and 9 as my data nodes. And I have set it up. The cluster has been set up with software file storage as my cluster storage. So here I have logged into the software portal, and I would like to show you the file storage that I have provisioned using software. So I have logged in and I click on storage, file storage, and you will see that there are 2 file storage that I've provisioned. I'm interested in the second one because that's what I have mounted on each of my nodes. So now when you provision it, the way the file storage is actually mounted is via NFS connection. So a software comes back once we provision it with a mount point. Here we have a mount point that's specified, and we go back to our terminal and do a quick df-th grep NFS to make sure that so the mount point is mounted onto mount cluster FS. So on each of the nodes, we have to mount the mount point so as to make a cluster. And once we have the cluster ready, once the setup is ready, we are now ready to take the snapshot. So before I show you the process of taking a snapshot, with IBM Db2 Warehouse, the process of taking a snapshot is very easy, quick and simple. It's just 3-step process. You first do a write suspend, make sure all the IO writes to the database are suspended. Then we go to the software, the capabilities or whatever the steps the software, the storage recommends. We take a snapshot based on the storage recommendation. Then we go back to IBM Db2 Warehouse and we do a write resume. So here I can show you quickly how easy and quick it is. I do a docker exec it-db write suspend. With this shows that validated, okay, successfully suspended. So we have suspended writes on the database now. Then we go back to the software portal and go ahead and take a snapshot. So now you notice that there's a snapshot schedule at the top which says hourly, daily, and weekly. So software provides the capability of 2 kinds of snapshot. One is automated and the other is manual. So if you do an automated, you can, based on your environment requirements, you can do an hourly, daily, or weekly. Or you can also take a manual snapshot. For this demo, I have done a take a manual snap. I've chosen to take manual snapshot option. So I go ahead and click on the take manual snapshot option here, and you would notice that it's instantaneous. It actually comes back quickly saying that yes, there's a success at the top. If you see the message box that popped up, success, the snapshot with the date and also the timestamp. So if you look at the table below actually shows you the time and the date when the snapshot was taken. So now, since we have the snapshot all ready to go, we can now resume the write IO operations on the database. So this is basically the quick 3-step process: suspend, snapshot, and resume for taking a snapshot with IBM Db2 Warehouse. It's very quick, instantaneous, and extremely efficient. So now that we have the snapshot ready, let's make sure we can restore from this snapshot. So before we do the restore, how do we validate it? So one way we are going to validate it is we'll go ahead and create a couple of tables using a web console, and then after we create a table, we restore the snapshot that we had taken back into the volume and make sure those 2 tables are not in any. So here I go ahead and first use our get web console URL tool. This is a tool that actually tells you the web console URL. It's pretty handy because most times you would not know what your URL link is. So here it actually shows you copy it and then go to our web console and log in as Blue admin, and you're using the SQL editor. I would create a couple of tables create table tab 1 with single column. This is just a test, a verification that our snapshot was successful. So we just go ahead and create a couple of tables, tab 1 and tab 2. And run all, and then go back to the administrator tables view and ensure that those two tables are in. So there you go, those two tables are in. So we have created them. And now we go back to our terminal. So in order to restore, there are a few steps that we have to follow. The first step is to make sure that there are no -db services that are up and running. So we execute a docker exec it-db stop. Then after the services are stopped, we also ensure that the container is stopped. So do a docker stop -db. So I will go ahead and run those two commands, the docker exec it-db stop. That stops the services that are running. And then we also do a docker stop -db, and this has to be done on each of the three nodes, the head node and the two data nodes. So once the container is stopped, we actually unmount the mount cluster FS. And this mount cluster FS is actually not necessary for all storage file system, but then we need to follow the recommendations by the storage provider. So SoftLayer indeed recommends that you unmount the mount cluster FS that we have mounted to ensure that there is no data corruption. So I would go ahead and unmount mount cluster FS on each of those three nodes. And then I go back to the SoftLayer portal and click on the actions drop down. And then action drop down has a restore option. Click on the restore, comes back with a message box. I'll ask, are you sure you want to restore? You would lose data. And yes, I'll say, yes, go ahead, please restore. And so it restores. And there instantaneously you get, it takes a little while for the actual restore to happen, but you see the success message, the volume is under the process of being restored. And now once the restore is done, we go back to the terminal, and our next step is to mount the cluster FS back. The volume is mounted after the snapshot is restored. We mount it on each of the three nodes, the head node, the two data nodes. And then we start the services. Now we do a docker start -db first on the two data nodes and then the head node. So do a docker start on data node 1, data node 2, and the docker start on the head node. So even if you see that the prompt has returned instantaneously, it doesn't mean that the services are yet started. So make sure that the services are started. We actually exec into the container, docker exec it-db bash. We go to var log, which is our location where our -db log is. So we do a tail -f -db local.log, and you scroll and you wait till the services are up and running. So here you get a summary that shows that all the services are up and running. So please make sure that we get this message before we start any operations on the container. So once we see that the message summary is up and running, we go ahead, sign out of here, and then blue admin, sign in, just to ensure that the restore was successful, and those two tables that we created should not be visible, which shows that we have restored from the snapshot that we had taken at that point in time. So that's a quick demo of backup and restore using the SoftLayer file storage.